Well, I'm Tony Lacey, and we've been in the village 13 years. The old hall we used quite extensively for shows and for a whole range of events, but it had serious limitations. It was damp, you couldn't store anything in it for any length of time, and we had a structural survey, we established the ownership. It took 5 years doing all the sort of legal bits and bobs, and we tried to get grants for all sorts of things without success.
We were always trying to raise money for it, as it was falling down round our heads. There was gaps between the floor and the wall, and it used to rain in.
In particular, the old billiard room was particularly dark and horrible. It had been built with our own efforts, I think in the 60s and 70s, but the roof was in very, very poor condition. And it had an old coke pot-bellied stove, so it was rather smoky and dark. And anyway, it was in such terrible condition we had to do something about it. And there was one or two places where you couldn't take a shot because you burn your rear end on the boiler to bend down. So the new billiard room is the standard size for billiards, and the snooker billiard table's been recovered and is a really fine condition now.
We had quite a lot of organisations and barbecues, village dances, and we raised quite a lot of money, and then we started to build this lovely village hall we have now.
We built at a very fortunate time in that some key people in the village have been made redundant from the building trade and were able to act as clerk of works, mastermind, and actually build a lot of it. And I think 7 or 8 villagers physically moved things around, lifted stone, breeze blocks. All sorts of people helped. Local farmers came along with JCBs and tractors. We had a great day when a wonderful crane came. We all enjoyed this enormous £500,000 worth of crane that helped put the roof on. And I think there were 7 of us up there then. So a lot of people contributed, not just money and time, but physical effort. We had an agreement with the Arts Council that we would expand and improve our arts offer. So Linda and I constituted ourselves as WAS Arts, and we're waiting for more volunteers to join that committee. And they provided funds for all the new chairs and demountable staging, which is marvellous.
There's events going on there nearly every month, or probably even more than that. And there's a billiard room, snooker room rather, and everything's back to normal as it used to be 60 years ago when the first village hall was built. So it's done a full circle.
It was used to be known as the Village Hall and Institute because of the WI, the Women's Institute part of the name. And so yes, it has played a major part in the WI as a meeting place ever since 1920s, I suppose, when it was built. The original one was built, yeah. In the olden days, it was very thriving because the village was bigger in population. But we still go on, and we still have a small membership, but we're fairly active, and we run things like the WI show where we encourage people to bring along cookery and flower arranging and all the crafts and growing vegetables and so on. And it was the first one in the new hall this year, and despite trials and tribulations, it was a success, and people still came, and so we had a good day there.
And the hall, of course, is used for all the major village events. We've already mentioned the show and the fundraising of various kinds, which either goes to the church or charity. It varies from year to year. The village, I think this year for charity, has probably raised nearly £2,000 one way and another for Haiti, Amnesty International, Great Ormond Street, Macmillan Cancer, and the church, I think.
I think it's very important. Very important indeed. It brings people together, and especially when new ones come into the village and they join in.
And I think the difference is made by the people that live here. They're the people that make the village. To take an example of it, 2 years ago the village hall was falling down, and there's only 50 houses in Was, yet within a year they'd raised over £100,000 through donations and charity and efforts, which is, I feel, is quite unique.